Hey, my friends, JT DeBolt is here with you today on a Friday morning for the Elite Marketing Pro Daily Dose of Awesome, your 15 minutes of inspiration, education, motivation, whatever you need to help you get your day started on the right foot. And I say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whatever time it is for you, no matter where you might be tuning in from on the Big Blue Marble. Thank you for joining us here each and every single Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We love to have you here. And by the way, bring your friends. Tell them all about this. If you know folks out there that could use a little bit of encouragement, that could use the education, that could use the motivation, that could use the inspiration, then bring them along. We'd love to have them with you as well. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about a question that we all get. And as you're dialing in, I want you to let me know who you are, where you are tuning in from on the Big Blue Marble. Say hello. Seeing out there, hey, Chad, what's up, my friend? Karen, Heather calling in. Good to see you from Texas. Love Texas. Tomas, Michelle, great to see you. Melinda, thanks for coming in here. Sally, great to see you. Okay, so I want to pose a question that perhaps you've heard before. The question is this a legitimate business? Now, if you've ever heard this question, maybe you've gotten it from a family member. Maybe you've gotten it from a spouse. Maybe you've gotten it from a friend or a coworker who found out that you're building your own enterprise so that you can make that leap from being an employee into being an entrepreneur. If you've ever had the question about legitimacy of this industry or of this business, then give me a 1. Type a 1 in. Hey, see lots of cool people. I got Debbie. I got Marilyn, Danielle, Terry, Holly. Good to see you. Mia's dialing a 1. Good to see you, Mia. Okay, so a lot of people dialing a 1. You've heard this question before. I'll take you back a little bit of a story. I remember when we first got started in this industry, I personally had the same question. You know, I've told you guys this story. If you've heard this before, just bear with me. But if you don't know who I am or never heard of me, I was an active duty U.S. Navy pilot. And my wife got involved in the network marketing industry while I was stationed in Iraq. She was looking for a way for us both to be able to exit the U.S. military because while I was the Navy pilot, she was my navigator. That's actually how we met. We flew combat missions together over Afghanistan. And so she knew, listen, you know, we had a brand new baby girl. She was a year old at the time. And I had just gotten unexpectedly deployed to Iraq. And she was also on the short list to possibly get deployed. Now, can you imagine this? Imagine yourself being in a position where you have a pretty decent, I would say a small 6-figure income combined, the two of us. If you put our income combined, it was, you know, a very low 6-figure income. But I mean, we were living, you know, we had a decent income, getting paid every 2 weeks with consistency. You've got probably the most stable employer in the world, the U.S. Military, meaning they're not going out of business. You don't have to worry about job security. We were up for promotions. We had full medical and dental benefits. We had everything going for us, right? And then having to realize that you could get deployed into the combat zone. This was actually my 3rd combat tour in 5 deployments. And she could be next, meaning they could deploy both of us, and our daughter would be basically living with the grandparents. You can imagine, like, all of a sudden now you kind of have to do something. Now there was this impetus to want to, find a better way. And that's exactly what Mia did. Mia went out and she sought out a way for us to find a way to continue to build our income. In fact, to grow our income, to make our income as big as we wanted it to, so we could live the dreams that we'd always had. But she found network marketing. And I came into it with an attitude of, you've got to be kidding. Like, there's no way this is a legitimate business. So I was the one that was sort of the naysayer. I was the doomsday person that was going, oh man, this is never going to work. And if you've ever had that experience, you know how crappy that can feel, especially if it's from the person that's laying next to you at night when you go to bed. So over time, of course, as obvious, you know, as I'm here standing before you, I began to realize that this is a very legitimate business. And what's interesting is I got a taste of my own medicine. My father actually told me years afterwards. We had gotten out of the U.S. Navy. In fact, I just passed my 9-year anniversary. September 30th is when I got out of the U.S. Navy in 2008. So for 9 years, I haven't had a job. It's been a pretty cool journey and built my own business. But there are times where Mia and I have had some really tough times. And I remember one time, you know, I'm a college educated dude, combat decorated aviator, military officer, and I can barely afford to feed my family. And I had to ask my dad for money so I could buy diapers for our baby. Now, how humiliating is it if you're in your late 30s, almost 40 years old, and you're asking your dad for money? And he said to me, maybe it's time to put the dream away and get a real job. Now, I'm happy to say that didn't happen, but those were tough times that we had to go through. But it proves something, and I'm going to get to why it proves the legitimacy of this business and this industry in just a moment. Let's talk about the word legitimate. It's actually from the Latin word legitimus. And what it means is it means lawful. It means that it is legal. In fact, the word legal comes from the word legitimus. L-E-G, it comes from that root word. Legislation, legislator, legislative, those words all come from the word legitimus. What it means is legal or lawful. If you look at anything we do here at Elite Marketing Pro, in fact, if you look at what most people do in the industry of the home-based business industry or internet marketing or network marketing, you'll find that it is more than legitimate. It's very legal. In fact, if you could see the legal teams that are behind most of the companies that go into finding out how they build their compensation plans, how they build their products and services, how they do everything that they do business-wise, you'll find that it is far more legitimate than a lot of businesses that are offline. There's a lot of people out there that are running illegitimate businesses that aren't in this industry that are pointing fingers at this industry saying, is it legitimate? So it's kind of interesting. Remember this. This is a very legitimate business by the very definition of the word legitimate. However, there's one more hurdle that we have to overcome, and it's a hurdle that I personally put out in front of my wife and one that I have had to overcome, and I'm sure one that you've had to overcome as well. And that's called cognitive bias. And what cognitive bias is basically a fallacy in our decision making or a fallacy in our reasoning. What it means is that we can be presented with information, we could be presented with a topic or a conversation, we could be presented with just about anything, and we're going to judge it, or we're going to sort of assess it from a place of our own ego or our own agenda. Case in point, if you are a fan of a sports team, maybe you're one of those ardent fans like I am. I'm an ardent fan of the Seattle Seahawks. If somebody comes to me and wants to talk about one of our opponents, the LA Rams, for instance, we're going to play the LA Rams this Sunday. All of a sudden, my cognitive bias is up, and I'm thinking to myself, they're the enemy. They're the team that I don't like. And so I'm naturally going to have a bias, right? I'm going to have a prejudice. And of course, this is kind of a playful conversation, but there are times where people have a very strong cognitive bias. This is one reason why I recommend that my clients stay away from political conversations in their businesses. Political conversations, unless you are into politics, unless your business is to sell politics, it's very difficult to break down somebody's cognitive bias. So what that means is people are going to come at you, they're going to have a preconceived notion about whatever it is you're talking about. So if they come to you and ask if it's a legitimate business, you have to be prepared for the fact that you probably cannot and will not sway their opinion, at least not on the first go. I tell this story a few times. I've told it before. When I was first getting going in this industry, when I first kind of wrapped my head around it and said, okay, this is legitimate, I asked a question of a very famous motivational speaker who was brought on to a team call for our team. So our team leaders brought this guy on. He's a famous motivational speaker, and he did a call just for our team. And at the end of the call, they said, listen, we're going to open the call up to any questions. If you want to jump out and ask Chris a question, just unmute yourself. Let us know who you are, where you're calling in from. Well, nobody unmuted themselves, which I found kind of odd because this guy was a big deal. You know, it was kind of cool. It was an honor to have him on our call. So I think everybody was kind of in shock that he was going to actually take calls from people. So I jump out. I said, hey, Chris, this is JT from San Diego. Chris goes, go ahead, JT. I said, here's my question. How do you get past your friends and family telling you that this is fake or this is false or this is a scam? What do you have to do to prove to them that it's a legitimate business? And this was his answer. You do nothing. You get to work. You build your business. You stop worrying about what your friends and your family are thinking, and you start focusing on the people who you can actually serve with your business. This is a very important lesson, my friends, one that I'm grateful I learned early in my career, one that to this day I still carry forth, and I'm very grateful to have learned. Remember this, it's not about convincing people. You don't need to convince anybody as long as you yourself have realized the truth, and the truth is this. This is a very legitimate business. In fact, there's a lot about the business plan, the business model behind Elite Marketing Pro specifically, that makes this one of the most legitimate business models going. Network marketing internet marketing, online businesses are going to become seen as more and more legitimate as we move forward, because already people are, sort of telecommuting or working from home and doing the things. So they might work for a company like ITT or IBM rather. They might work for a company like Google, and they don't work in a central office. A lot of businesses and a lot of organizations are going to a place where people work remotely. That's an online type of business for them at that point. It's still a job, but they're still working from home. So what's the difference if you are working from home and building your own income stream? What's the difference if you're guiding people to helping them live a better way of life? I can't think of a more legitimate, mission in life than to help other people live a higher quality of life, whether you're helping them with their health, their fitness, their mindset, their finances, whatever it is that you do as a professional, whatever it is you do as a person that's out there helping people, I would say that's a pretty legitimate business. Now, you could argue, if you're using your internet marketing skills or if you're using your business skills to do something illegal, then of course it's an illegitimate business. But I think we're all mature adults here and we get what we're talking about. The point is this industry, the network marketing industry, the home business industry, has been around for decades. Okay, it's been around for decades, generations. It's going to be around for decades longer, far past when you and I are gone, buried, on to the next, whatever you want to call it. So there's no question about it being legitimate, okay? It's very viable. The question really is, here's the question. What is it that you're going to do to add to the strength of the industry? What is it that you do to add to the viability? What is it that you do to add not just to the legitimacy of this industry, but to the legacy of the industry? You have to be a leader. And if you embrace that idea of being a leader, then don't worry about the legitimacy of this industry. It's going to be just fine. You and I are going to be here to work together, shoulder to shoulder, locking elbows, if you will, to march as a strong, unified group of like-minded, empowered entrepreneurs to help other people live a better quality of life. That to me is about as legitimate and as honorable as it gets. If you agree with me on this, give me a 5. Give me a long distance high 5 here in the comments, because I want to know if this is registering with you, because if you're one of those leaders out there, then guess what? We're in great hands. And the one thing that I love about EMP, Elite Marketing Pro, is how we have taken on this responsibility, if you will, to become industry leaders. Not because we're trying to be better than anybody else, not because we're trying to get ahead or do anything like that. We're just trying to march the march, walk the walk, right? Just like Chris Widener, the motivational speaker, told me, he's like, stop worrying about what people think and walk the walk and stop talking the talk, right? So I see a lot of people dialing 5s in here. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Rosemary says, education industry that can lead to income these days much quicker than even college. Absolutely. In fact, I actually read an interesting article. I won't get into it now because, again, I think my cognitive bias may have been kicking in, and they were talking about how college might be a bigger scam than online businesses and network marketing. I won't get into that argument, but I thought it was a very interesting take on this concern or this discussion about legitimate businesses. My friends know this. We're doing good in the world. We're helping a lot of people. All you have to do is look around. All you have to do is follow this community and see people that are getting real results, that are doing things on the up and up, out in the open, just like anything the IRS or anybody else would look into and go, yep. And they'll see that that's a legitimate business. It's something to be proud of. And that's really the thing that I want to leave you with today as I close out today's message is this. Be proud of what you do, okay? Be proud of who you do it for. And most importantly, be proud of yourself. Take pride in the fact that you wake up every single day. You wake up every single day with that focus of helping other people. You wake up every single day with that focus to be a better you, to be the best person, the best version of yourself that you can be. And in the process, take people with you. Sometimes you're going to carry them on your back. Sometimes you're going to kick them in the butt. Sometimes you're going to hold them by the hand. And sometimes, most of the time, you're going to walk shoulder to shoulder with them. I'm proud to be able to walk shoulder to shoulder with you, and I'm excited for the direction that we're all going in this industry, this very, very legitimate industry. So go out there this weekend, have an awesome weekend, do the things you love to do, spend time doing them with the people you love spending time with. Come back on Monday refreshed, recharged, and ready to kick ass. And we're going to be here waiting for you with another episode of the Daily Dose of Awesome at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern. My friends, have an amazing weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. And remember, no matter what course you fly in life, fly high, fly fast, and fly far. We'll talk to you soon.